It's swarm season. Yep, that's when bees all gather together, half of a hive and the queen, and they go poof, and they form a swarm. A swarm, you've seen them before. They like to have them dramatized, social media and public media. Swarms basically look like this. The thing that people don't really realize about swarms is that the bees are at their absolute most docile when they swarm. So what is a swarm? A swarm, as I said a minute ago, is about half the hive and the queen, and they take off. Why? Well, first and foremost, it's genetic. Bees, as a way of perpetuating their being or their species, they swarm. So the colony basically splits in half. The old queen leaves the hive with about half of the bees, a bunch of worker bees, a bunch of foraging bees, and the old hive behind creates a new queen. And the new queen is created by forming queen cups. And on swarms, or for swarms, the queen cups are built on the bottom of the frame. I'll show you that in a minute. New queen is born. She leaves the hive. She goes on her mating flight. She hopefully comes back. And then you've got a brand new hive or a brand new queen, half the bees in the old hive. She'll get in, start laying, and that's just how they perpetuate. What happens to the bees that left? Well, the bees that left are going to go to find a place to live. If you watch my video about bees in a log, that's what happens if they find the right spot outside in nature, someplace to live. Or sometimes, unfortunately, it ends up being in the rafters of houses, domicile places that they shouldn't be, which is a whole nother issue. My hope is that if they swarm and go into my swarm box. And I'm going to show you that. That's the whole purpose of this video today, is that I want to be able to show you over time, number one, how I put up swarm boxes. So we're going to do that a little bit later today. And then secondly, just how to keep checking it and see if we can catch a swarm. Obviously, I'm going to post this video on the basics of how I do it. And then every time I go out and check the boxes, we'll see what it is. There either is or there isn't. Hopefully this year we'll catch a swarm. And if we do, I can show you how we hive that. Let me talk just a second also about the swarms that we catch. I tend to like to catch swarms that are my own bees. I get a lot of calls for swarms during this time of year, and I'll go out and I'll get the swarms, put them in a box, and one of two things happens. I'll sort through and find the queen. And if the queen is marked, that means that it's somebody's hive whom bought like a nook or a mated queen or something. And a nook is 5 frames of bees that you buy from a reputable source. If it's a mated queen or it's a marked queen, then number one, every 5 years, the color of a queen marking changes. And I don't remember what this year is, but you mark a queen with the color of the year that queen is born. You mark the queen with that color so you know what year the queen is in. So if the queen is marked and she's a fairly young queen, I tend to keep those swarms. If it's a swarm that I know swarmed from one of my hives, I tend to keep that because I know the genetics of those bees, I know their temperament. If it's a swarm that I don't know, the queen isn't marked, I don't know where they came from, if I'm not starving for bees, which I'm not starving for bees, I'll give those away to somebody that wants them. I'm a little bit picky. I want to know where my bees are coming from, or I want to know that they're from good stock. So that's, part of my philosophy on swarms. I've got a couple of videos out there. I've got a really nice video of a swarm I caught from the garden club apiary. And I know those bees. So I took those bees and put them out at my yard at the farm. So this is a swarm box. Swarm boxes come in lots of different forms. People use all sorts of things. They'll use, deep boxes. They'll use cardboard boxes. They'll use just about anything. There are 2 keys to catching a swarm. Number one is that this box has to be of a certain size. And usually that's, I think 18 to 24 gallons or somewhere in that neighborhood of space. Dr. Tom Seeley has done amazing research, and it's really worth, if you're really getting into the bees and the biology of bees. Any of the works by Dr. Seeley are just fantastic, but his work with swarms has been kind of groundbreaking because he figured out how much space bees prefer when they go out looking for swarms. Let me go back for just a second, talk about swarms and the biology behind swarms. Just before a hive swarms, several hundred scout bees go out, and they are programmed, once the beehive has decided that it's going to swarm, they are programmed to go out and search for a proper place for the swarm to go. So they will be out actually a couple days even before the swarm, and they'll be looking for places to live. Could be a tree, could be a swarm box, which is what you hope. So Dr. Seeley's work determined what is the preference size of a swarm box. And this box basically takes Dr. Seeley's work and makes it physical and makes it possible, or enticing, we should say, for bees. I'm going to dive into this box here for a second and show you what's inside of it. But the other thing, there needs to be some sort of a bait. I use lemongrass oil. It's very similar to the smell that that scout bees are looking for. It's the kind of a smell of a queen. So you have to bait the hives, and I bait the hives with lemongrass oil, essential oil, and it needs to be pure. And basically, I have small little tubes that I've created that slowly release the smell of lemongrass oil in the inside of the swarm box. Lemongrass oil is just highly attractive to scout bees, and they will tend to smell that, and then they'll come in and start checking out the inside. Now, what's really cool about scout bees is that they will come inside of this box to determine if it's the right size. They'll actually walk up and down the walls to determine if it meets their needs. They'll walk across it to make sure it meets their needs. They'll even fly back and forth to see how that feels. So the important thing you have to do is inside your swarm box is give them the opportunity to do that. And the way you set up your swarm box allows you to better understand, or to better attract the bees. Inside the box, it looks like it's a full 5 frames, but in actuality, these side frames are just bars with a little wasp nest from the last time I had these out. So I got bars on the end, and then I've got frames with starter strips in them. So I have 2 frames with starter strips. I have 2 more blank frames, and then one of the most crucial parts, a frame of really old brood comb. There's a little bit of pollen. You can maybe see the yellow on that side. And then this side is completely empty, nothing on it. This is very attractive to scout bees because it smells like comb. So you've got the lemongrass oil that you put into it. You've got this old frame. It sits in the middle, gives the bees enough room to be able to fly around, walk back and forth, as I spoke about a minute ago, and I feel like this is a great place to start a hive. We've already got a frame. We've got starter frames, and then it's up to me to make sure that when the bees do go in there, and I want to be optimistic and say, well, I'm going to get a swarm this year. When the bees do get in there, I have to get them out of there and into another box really quickly. And here's the reason why. If I left them in too long and I had everything built the way it was, what would happen is that these starter frames on the side would start to get built out. And they wouldn't build them straight down. They would build all sorts of wanky comb on the inside, and you'd end up with a complete and total mess that you have to either shake the bees off, and they've wasted all that energy developing wax. And you don't want that to happen. You don't want the bees that are moving into this to really spend a lot of energies creating things As soon as I get bees in here, I'll pull this box and I'll put all those bees into a 5-frame, what's called a Nook box. And I'm really hoping I get to show you guys having that happen this year. So that's what's inside the box. And one last thing I want to show you before we head out and put this into a tree is I built these. They are just a simple stand. And what will happen is that I will, well, I'm getting a little ahead of the game here. I'll put this up in the tree where I want it. I will put one screw at the top and one small screw at the bottom just to hold it steady to the tree. And then at the top and the bottom, I take a ratchet strap and I strap it around the tree so it's secure. I also will take a little wedge just to be able to move it up and down so that the box is sitting perfectly level. Once I have that, I take the box up into the tree. This is attached to the tree. And then I simply put the box on the stand. I'll put a bungee cord around it to hold it on. That's really all it needs. It's sitting on its by itself as it is, but obviously it would be easily knocked off. So I'll wrap a bungee cord around it. We're going to be good to go. And again, I'll come back and check it every 3 or 4 or 5 days, but I've got work out of each of the bee yards that are going in anyway, so I'm going to be able to look at them all the time. That's what you have. Next stop on this journey is going to be putting these into an appropriate tree out at the farm. I'll give you an idea when we're out there, what kind of tree you're looking for and what seems to work best and what probably wouldn't work. See you there. As I said, I'm gonna head over to the farm. We're going to hopefully get this swarm box up pretty quick. See y'all, kids. We're gonna put the swarm box up. If I can't get the ladder high enough, I'm going to scrap it today, and I'm going to work on getting the bigger ladder into the truck, which means I'm going to have to call a friend. We'll see. One way or another, we'll get them up. I expect swarms to start very soon. And again, as I said earlier, I'm hoping it's not my bees. I'm doing everything I can to prevent that. But even though I've done things in the past to prevent it, it doesn't really always work. Bees will do what bees will do. See you at the farm. Well, there's the hives. I'm not going to get too close right now because the last couple of times I've been out here, they've been really pissy, and I'm not dressed for it. But I'm thinking I'm going to put the swarm box in one of these trees over here. I want to come down and take a closer look. What you're looking for in a place to put a swarm box is a place that has some protection. The bees like shade. They like to be at the edge of a forest, and we've got plenty. Now, I was in this tree last year and got a little bit of action, but for the most part, I don't want to use that this year because if you look really, really close, it's all full of wild roses. And that was a pain in the neck. So we're not going to use that this year. I've thought about this tree, but it's a little too close to the hives over there. So what I think I'm going to do is one of these 3 trees, either this big guy right here or this guy here, because there's a really good spot to put the box right there in the crook of that tree. So that might work out really well. Plus it's going to get a lot of shade. So that's one option. And then I'm thinking about this tree because it truly is at the edge of the forest. My concern is that it doesn't get sun as quickly, and they like a box that gets a little bit of sun in the morning if they're in the box. But I just want them to be able to find it. I somehow feel like it might be easier found in this guy right here. I'm kind of liking this tree. A couple reasons. Number one, there's no rose bushes around it, so it's got that going for it. Plus, I think that I can pretty easily get that swarm box attached up in there without much of a problem. I just get the ladder out, get up there and do my thing. I'm kind of out of the way. I think this is it. Is it? I believe so. So let's pull the ladder out of the back. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna be able to get up as high as I want to with this. But let's see if we can make that happen here. Question is, Can I get this ladder steady enough? That's going to be the trickiest part. Oh yeah, that'll work. It won't be an issue. I think I was good where I was at. I know you're looking at me like, he's out of his mind. And you know, truly, I'm out of my mind. But let's just take a peek and see if I can get this thing up there high enough without really hurting myself. So, hey, check that out. Hey, buddy, look at that. There's one right there. Hey, there's another one. Okie dokie. Let's test this to see if I could get that up there. I actually think I'm going on this side of the tree, about here, facing south. Now I'm having my doubts. Okay, time for Mr. Dave to crawl down from the dangerous ladder. Oh my God. Well, that's the cool thing about being the founder, owner, sole employee, is the fact that if I tell myself to do something and I hurt myself, hey, I just pay myself workman's comp. Wait a minute, this is not making sense at all. Okay, so now I think I'm gonna shift and we're gonna put it up here and down if I can, because I do want it facing south. So let me do some adjustments here. That's exactly where I want it. I still need to wrap a bungee. God, you know what? I don't. Since I have this extra screw here, if I just put this into the tree, I think we're gonna be fine. Perfect. Let's tie things up here. Go get the box. I think this is gonna work. Here's one thing I wanna do real quick though. Yesterday, I put a thing of lemongrass that I made in here. Yep. I spilled more than I wanted to, and the lemongrass ate the tape. I would not have thought that lemongrass oil would have been an issue with that tape. And hopefully I don't have too much. I am a tad concerned. Too much lemongrass and the bees will want nothing to do with it. So I'm going to take that off. Take that off. Well, that's a hell of a mess. And I hate to take that frame out because I really want to have more than one, but I think it's too much lemongrass, to tell you the truth. And then I'm going to have to reattach this. And that won't be easy. So let me figure out what I'm going to do here. I do have a little bit of tape. I'm going to put that not on top of the lemongrass oil, but I'm going to put it on the ends, and because it's sticky, I've got to get these all the way down because I don't want bees getting stuck on this stuff. Okay, I think that should do what I want it to do. Let's get this bugger up there. I don't think I have to put the big white bungees all the way around it. I think I can just work with these bungees I've got here. Bungee straps, and I think I'll get this up here before I get up too high. I'm going to run a bungee strap through here, around the back of here, through the back of this one, bring this over. It's a little tight, so let's do this. At least keep it here for a minute so I can figure out what to do next. You know what? I'm right where I want to be. I think that's going to work perfect. That's going to hold that up. That's not going anywhere. I would suppose if I wanted to, I could run another bungee all the way around. I'm a little concerned about it slipping, but I think I'm just going to run a little bit of duct tape down the bottom of it. That'll secure everything I want it to do. Yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape there. I'm liking what I'm seeing. And look at that. That is really very, very interesting. And I truly wonder if it's a scout bee or not. I don't know. We'll see. There could be swarms right now, and then I actually do think I'm going to use the big white bungee cord. It's just kind of an insurance. But this will provide me just a little bit more back and forth safety. Let's get that big bungee. Where's that at? There it is. Toss the tape. One big bungee to the rescue. And then we see if it goes all the way around. That's my other doubt. But let's see what we got. Thing is, I gotta be able to figure out how to grab it. I just want everybody to know that that's exactly the way I planned that. I'd figured it all out. I laid it out. I knew this bungee cord was going to be perfect to strap onto these. I just knew it. I knew it. I'm so flippin' lucky. I think the only thing I've still got over there is the ladder, one bungee cord, some blue painter's tape, one more white bungee, and a swarm box.